My brother's fiancee demanded a $10,000 payment for their wedding, claiming I should give them that as a wedding gift by not giving this money. I am spoiling their big day on my refusal. My parents kicked me out of the wedding ceremony. After wedding, they saw all their belongings lying in the garbage outside the house. They all shook. I stared at the glowing screen. 9:43 p.m. The call had ended. The text message from my sister Brooke Mom's right, "Don't make it weird," was the final punctuation. I didn't cry. Crying is what they expected. Crying is what Karen wanted. Tears mean you're hurt. And if you're hurt, you're still playing their game. You're still valuing their opinion enough to be wounded by it. I didn't feel wounded. I felt clear. The anger wasn't hot and messy this time. It was cold, clinical. It felt like an audit. I opened my laptop. The screen cast a blue light across my small living room. I navigated to my desktop, new folder. I typed the name THEBACKCOVER. It felt right. The main event, Brooke's book launch, was the front cover, the polished, expensive $500,000 lie. But I was the one who made the cover. I was the one who designed the aesthetic they were selling. It was time to show them the back cover, the part that tells you what the story is really about. I picked up my phone. I didn't scroll back to their messages. I went straight to my favorites and hit Chloe. She answered on the second ring. Always professional. Kelsey, you're up late. Hey, change of plans? What do you mean, change of plans? The gallery showing is, in 3 weeks, I just sent the deposit. Cancel it, I said. Cancel the gallery. We're doing the pop-up. There was a beat of silence. Chloe's brain works like mine, fast, strategic. She wasn't just my best friend. She was the best event strategist in Austin. When she asked, the night of Brooke's launch party, another pause, this one shorter. Okay, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Okay, that's a much better use of the budget. But it's in 10 days. You know that, right? I know. It's a one-night-only event. A secret. We're not selling tickets. We're curating the guest list. I love it, she said. Revenge is always best served under budget and overexposed. What's the theme? The back cover, I said. Perfect. Send me the list. I'll find a space by morning. We hung up. I didn't sleep. I didn't pace. I just worked. For the next 8 hours, I didn't exist. It was just the work. I pulled every file from the last 5 years. Every digital painting I'd done at 3 a.m. that I thought was too raw to show anyone. Every logo concept I'd designed for clients that was too artistic for their brand. And most importantly, I pulled all the original files for Brooke. The mood boards I created, the 30 different cover drafts, the font families I designed from scratch, the website architecture, all of it. I wasn't just planning an art show. I was building a case. This wasn't revenge. This was an accounting. This was me finally sending the invoice. You need to understand this wasn't about jealousy. I've never been jealous of Brooke. Annoyed, sure. Frustrated. Absolutely, but never jealous. Jealousy implies you want what they have. I never wanted what Brooke had because I was the one who gave it to her. I was the silent investor, the ghost in the machine. I was the silent creative director for Brand Brooke. That best-selling book cover, the one the Austin Chronicle called Effortlessly Chic, I designed that for free. I did it over a single weekend fueled by 3 pots of coffee while Brooke was in the hill country getting inspired at a wine tasting. The website that got her noticed by the publisher, the brand, identity, the logo that everyone thought was so clever. All me. I'm the one who stayed up until 3 a.m. coding the damn thing. I'm the one who researched font pairings and color theory to build an aesthetic that felt authentic, an authenticity she didn't possess but desperately wanted to sell. I was the ghostwriter for her success. And I did it because deep down, I still believed that's what family did. I thought, if I just support her enough, if I'm just useful enough one day, they'll finally see me. I was wrong. They didn't see me. They just saw a resource to be exploited. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was Karen. Of course it was. I let it ring, but she called again and again. On the 4th call, I answered, putting it on speaker as I made coffee. "Kelsey, darling," she said, her voice dripping with that fake syrupy concern. "I'm glad I caught you. Your father and I are a bit worried." "Worried about what, Karen?" "Well, you just seemed so quiet last night. We're just hoping you're not going to be difficult about this." "Difficult," I repeated. The word felt metallic in my mouth. "You mean, am I going to have feelings about being banned from my own sister's party?" "Oh, don't be dramatic," she sighed, the fake concern vanishing instantly. "It's just a party. Look, Kelsey, your father, and I need you to do something for us. Just a small thing. We need you to post something. Supportive. You know, a nice congratulations for Brooke. Tag her. Tag the publisher." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I almost laughed. Let me get this straight. I'm not good enough to attend the party, but I'm still expected to promote it. "Kelsey, don't be like that," she snapped. "It's about perception. It's about the family image. People are already asking if you're coming. We just need to show a united front. It's not a big deal." I stared at a crack in my apartment ceiling. A united front. They didn't want a family. They wanted a marketing campaign. And I was the asset they were trying to deploy while locking me in the storage closet. "No," I said. "What?" "No, I won't be posting anything. Kelsey, don't be childish. Your father—" "I have to go, Karen. I'm busy." I hung up, and just like that, the last thread of guilt, of obligation, it just snapped. I was done. Done being their silent investor, done being their unpaid creative director, done being their PR team. I didn't have to wait long. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Brooke. "That's the least you can do after everything this family has done for you." I stared at that text. After everything this family has done for me, what exactly had they done? They paid for my state school tuition, a debt they never let me forget, while they funded Brooke's private education and her influencer lifestyle. They'd given me a room in their house, but only if I agreed to be the unpaid designer, the built-in babysitter, the family therapist. They hadn't given me anything. They had transacted with me, and I was done paying their price. That text, that single entitled blissfully unaware text, was the final click, the mechanism locked into place. I opened my laptop. I went to my personal savings account. $4,000. It was almost everything I had. It was the money I'd been saving for a down payment on a small condo, my escape fund. I transferred all of it to my checking account without a moment's hesitation. An escape fund is useless if you don't actually use it to escape. I picked up the phone and called Chloe. "It's done," I said. "What's done?" "I just moved the budget. $4,000. Can you make it work?" Chloe laughed, a sharp, excited sound. "Make it work, Kelsey. For $4,000 I can give you a revolution. I found the space. A warehouse in East Austin just off Cesar Chavez. It's raw, it's perfect, it's exactly what we need." "Good," I said. "Send me the address. I'll handle the invitations." For the next 2 hours I designed. I didn't create something angry. Anger is messy. I created something intriguing. The invitation was minimalist text only on a stark black background, elegant, sharp, and anonymous. It didn't have my name on it. It didn't have a brand. It just had a title. The back. Cover. An honest look at the art we hide. One night only. 8 p.m. Location to be revealed. I sent the digital invitation to Chloe. She would handle the list. We weren't inviting everyone. We were inviting the right people. Local art bloggers, creative directors from the big tech firms downtown, a few select gallery owners, and most importantly, the entire press list that Karen had proudly forwarded to the family last week, the one detailing every critic, socialite, and journalist who would be attending Brooks' perfect launch. I wasn't just throwing a party. I was setting a trap. I was creating an after party for an event I wasn't even invited to. The hypocrisy was astounding. They'd banned me from the main event, but were furious I wouldn't promote it. They wanted my support, but not my presence. They wanted my talent, but not my face. Fine, I'd give them my talent. And soon it would be the only thing they wished they'd never seen. The night of the event arrived. I didn't check Brooks' Instagram. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what it would look like. A sterile, white-walled downtown gallery. $500,000 worth of champagne catering and floral arrangements. Guests in designer clothes smiling for photographers holding a book they would never read. A perfect, polished, expensive, and utterly dead event. Our event was the opposite. The warehouse Chloe found was all brick-exposed steel beams and concrete floors. It was raw breathing. We spent just $4,000. $2,000 on lighting, $1,000 on a sound system, and $1,000 on 3 kegs and a bartender. By 7:30 I was in place. The art was hung. The lights were focused. Chloe was at the door managing the guest list. I was terrified. What if no one came? What if they came and laughed? At 8 p.m., the doors opened. By 8:15, the place was buzzing. By 8:30, it was packed. I stood in the corner watching. They weren't just guests. They were the right people. The bloggers, the critics, the real creatives of Austin. They were drinking cheap beer and staring at my art with an intensity that took my breath away. They were pointing, discussing, taking photos. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus Thorne was bored. Marcus was the senior arts and culture critic for Texas Monthly. He was the guest of honor at Brooks' launch, the one Karen had obsessed over securing. He was standing near a tower of champagne glasses, feeling nothing. This is what my family never understood. They confused having with being. They thought having a $500,000 party made them important. They thought having a best-selling book made Brooke a success. But it was all a shell, a hollow performance. Marcus looked at the perfect decorations, the smiling, empty faces. He understood that the power of their family was just a facade, a status rented with money. When that money and that image were gone, there would be nothing left. He felt that emptiness in the room. This event had no soul. It wasn't being anything. It was just having. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through the local arts feed, looking for an escape. And there it was, a post from a blogger he respected skipping the sterile launch party downtown. The real art is at a secret pop-up in East Austin, the back cover. Intrigued, Marcus Thorne set down his untouched champagne, nodded politely to his host, and walked out of Brooks' $500,000 party. 20 minutes later, he walked into my warehouse. I watched him enter, his eyes slowly adjusting to the dim, focused lighting. He moved through the crowd, looking at each piece. He wasn't just glancing. He was studying. He stopped in front of the main wall where I had hung a triptych of my most personal digital paintings, the ones that defined the very aesthetic Brooks' book was built on. He stood there for a full 5 minutes. Then he pulled out his phone, opened an article about Brooks' book, and held the phone up, comparing the book's cover to the art on the wall. I saw the moment it clicked. His head snapped up, and his eyes scanned the room until they found me. He saw the truth. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't inspiration. This was forgery. He wasn't at an art show. He was at a crime scene. And he, the most influential critic in Texas, was holding the evidence. He walked over, his face unreadable. "Kelsey?" he asked. "Yes." "Did you design your sister's book cover?" "I designed her entire brand," I said, my voice cold and steady, "for free." Marcus Thorne looked back at the wall, then at me. A slow smile spread across his face. "Well," he said, pulling out a small notebook, "this is a much better story." I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating itself off the nightstand. It wasn't just buzzing. It was a continuous, frantic vibration. I picked it up. My screen was a waterfall of notifications, texts, emails, Instagram tags, news alerts. And then I saw the link sent to me by Chloe and then by about 30 other people. The Texas Monthly article was live. The headline was devastating. "We came for a book launch but found an artist on the back cover." My heart didn't pound. It felt still. I read the article. Marcus hadn't just written a review. He'd written an indictment. He described Brooks' $500,000 party as a sterile, beautifully packaged box with nothing inside. He called her book a competent but soulless echo of a much brighter, more authentic voice. And then he wrote about me. He described the warehouse, the raw energy, the cheap beer, and the art. This, he wrote, is the genuine article. Kelsey's work is the very soul her sister's brand attempts to mimic. It is raw, it is powerful, and it is the real creative voice of Austin. He never explicitly said Brooks stole my work. He didn't have to. He just put the two side by side and let the facts do the work. By 9 a.m., the article had been shared over 10,000 times. By 10 a.m., my website, which usually got 30 views a day, had crashed from the traffic. By 11 a.m., there was a pounding on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. It was Karen and Brooke. They didn't look polished. Karen's hair was a mess, and Brooke looked like she'd been crying for hours. I opened the door. "You have to fix this," Karen shrieked, pushing past me into my apartment. Brooke followed, sobbing. "Kelsey, you have to tell them it's not true. You have to tell them we worked together, that you gave me those designs." I stood by the door and just watched them. The two most powerful women in my life, the ones who held all the cards, were now standing in my tiny living room, unraveling. "You've ruined me," Brooke wailed, sinking onto my second-hand couch. "The publisher is calling. The magazine is furious. They're all calling me a fraud." "Karen," I said, my voice perfectly calm. She stopped her pacing. "What? What are you going to do?" "You have to call that critic. You have to tell him he misunderstood." "I can't do that, Karen." "Why not?" she screamed. After everything we've done for you, you owe us this." "No," I said. "I don't owe you anything." I walked over to my desk, picked up a single crisp envelope, and held it out to her. "What's this?" she asked, her voice suspicious. "More of your art." "It's from my lawyer." Karen's hand trembled as she took it. Brooke stopped crying and looked up. Karen tore it open and unfolded the letter. I watched her read. I watched the blood drain from her face, watched her eyes scan the legal jargon. "Cease and desist," she whispered, her voice cracking. "It's a formal cease and desist letter," I explained, as if to a child. "It demands that Brooke immediately stop all use of any and all intellectual property I created." "Your intellectual? What?" "The book cover," I said, "the brand logo, the website design, all of it. It's all mine. And you've been using it without payment or credit to build her career. As of today, that stops." "You can't," Brooke whimpered. "The book is already out." "Then you'll have to recall it. Or redesign it. That's your publisher's problem, not mine. You have 24 hours to remove my work from every digital platform before my lawyer files the copyright infringement suit." Karen just stared at me, the letter shaking in her hand. "A lawsuit, Kelsey? You're suing your own sister." "I'm protecting my assets," I said. "It's just business. You always told me Brooke was the one who understood business." I walked back to my door and opened it wide. You're destroying this family," Karen whispered, her rage replaced by a terrifying, hollow understanding. "No," I said, looking her directly in the eye. "I'm just balancing the books. You've been living on my credit for years. Today, the bill came due." They didn't move. They just stared at me. "Goodbye, Karen." And I closed the door, shutting them out in the hallway, as their perfect, polished, $500,000 world burned to the ground. The fallout was immediate, and it was total. My lawyer's letter, combined with the viral Texas Monthly article, was a 1-2 punch my family couldn't recover from. Brooke's publisher facing a public relations nightmare and a massive copyright infringement suit recalled the book. They settled with my lawyer out of court, agreeing to pull all remaining copies and cease all promotion. Brooke's perfect brand didn't just stall, it imploded. The critics who had attended her launch were now distancing themselves, embarrassed to have been associated with a fraud. The socialites stopped calling. The sponsors vanished. And my family? Well, their image, the one they had mortgaged everything to protect, was shattered. Their reputation as one of Austin's perfect families was gone, replaced by the story of their greed and creative theft. Their carefully constructed world collapsed. And me. The day the settlement finalized, I received a call from one of the publishers who had seen the article. They didn't just want to buy my designs. They wanted my story. They offered me a major book deal, a budget to create my own coffee table book of art. My real art. 6 months later, I sat in my new studio. It was 3 times the size of my old apartment, with huge industrial windows that flooded the space with light. My book, the back cover, was sitting on the bestseller list. I opened my laptop, navigating to the folder I'd created that night. The one that started it all. The back cover. I looked at the files inside the original designs for Brooke, the logo, the web, layouts, the secret art I had hidden away for years. This folder was the evidence of my invisibility. It was the proof of my pain. I didn't need it anymore. I clicked the folder. I dragged it to the trash. I hit empty trash. I wasn't the back cover anymore. I was the whole book. This story isn't just about what happened to me. It's for everyone who's ever been made to feel like they were too much or not enough. It's for the person sitting quietly at the holiday dinner, feeling completely invisible. For the one whose accomplishments are always met with a polite nod before the conversation turns back to the golden child. It's for every person who has ever had to shrink themselves to fit into a family that refuses to make space for them. If that's you, I see you. You are not too complicated. You are not difficult. You are not too sensitive. Your worth is not determined by their inability to see it. You don't need their invitation to be celebrated. You don't need their approval to shine. My name is Kelsey, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you should never have to audition for a role you were born to play. Stop waiting for them to see you. See yourself. And then go out and build a life so bright they can't possibly ignore the light.